What's up, guys? Wylarn here, and welcome back to the channel where we all stumble through life together. So today we got something a little bit different for you. It's a Call of Duty commentary, old school COD commentary, and I'm going to kind of go off the cuff on this one. Usually I have a structure for all my videos, and today we're just going to talk, have a conversation, and drop some nukes. So last week I turned 28 years old, which means I have 2 years left of my 20s. And boy, it's been just a wild ride and kind of a weird decade. I've been reflecting on it. Last night I was out sitting out in nature and just kind of thinking of accepting that this is a very challenging decade of our lives. So today we're going to talk about some of the tough parts of growing up. Like, why are our 20s so stressful? So we'll talk about some of the common issues we face, just remembering that it's normal to feel lost or feel that you don't have everything figured out for this time in your life. So with this commentary, we'll have a Barrett 50 cal nuke on Wasteland, and honestly I feel like half my nukes are on the same three maps in MW2. Favela, Wasteland, and Afghan just seem to be very easy maps to drop a nuke on. We got an AC-130 today. It's a very sneaky gameplay where I'm kind of just hiding in the grass, campy, but it's a good nuke, I thought, so hope you enjoy. So let's be honest, your 20s are nuts. I mean, like myself today, I feel like I'm just kind of winging this entire decade of my life. And our generation's unique for many reasons. I think we have a lot of pressure as a young generation. I mean, when I talk to older people, and my grandparents used to say this, they all figured their entire life out, it seems, when they were 21, 22. I mean, I think my grandparents were married with a kid on the way and a house when they were 22, which is so different from today. I mean, when I was 22, I was going out to the bars and having a good time and just couldn't be further from figuring everything out. So we're also the first generation to grow up in the social media age, which is it's had a lot of impacts on the current generation. Maybe made society a little bit more materialistic and shallow. I think social media can be great when it's used to connect with old friends and make stuff happen and bring awareness to things, but it seems like it's used as like a weird way to have an obsession with yourself and external validation. So that's another effect. And it seems like there's been inflation of cost of living compared to salaries, which we've had to deal with, and other generations might not to. So that makes it more difficult for things like starting a family, buying a house. Now we're faced with a lot of these big decisions, and it's a little bit harder than generations before us, which makes it unique for us. So yeah, there might be some undue pressure on us, and we're heavily influenced by the generations before us to get it figured out faster, but we're not really playing the same game as them. So like, we're getting married less and later, we're seemingly not able to afford as much, so it's normal to be stressed about stuff. It's really a crap show right now. And in your 20s, you have to deal with a convex of just many issues at one time. It's very challenging. And yeah, so let's talk about a couple points. In your 20s, it's your first time being independent, and you're leaving your childhood. And I've made a video about this, but before your 20s, you're supported by your parents, your family, you're in school. Your life's very structured, and everyone lives a pretty similar life of going to class, maybe going to play sports afterwards and play video games, and then you rinse and repeat. But everybody kind of goes down different paths in their 20s. Some people go to school, some people get a job, some people are successful, some people fail, and there's really a wide variety of outcomes. But one common thing is you're leaving your childhood. You're getting independence, and that exposes you to now you got to make some of your own decisions and sink or swim, I guess you could say. I've been in and out of living with my parents through most of my 20s. I've moved out a couple times, moved back in a couple times, and a lot of that's just me figuring my life out. I mean, nowadays still, I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm just figuring out like the rest of us. And sometimes I do have that attachment to my childhood. But, slowly growing away from that and trying to seek out new things and experiences. So another thing that makes our 20s kind of stressful is education. You got to make this huge consequential decision for your life that's often, tens of thousands of dollars before you turn 18, basically. You got to decide, do I want to go to a 4-year college, trade school, or go get a job? And that's a big financial burden for a young person to make. And most people are just kind of pressured to go to college without considering all the effects. So that's another stressful thing, because especially if you make the wrong decision with that, you might be facing a lot of debt for the rest of your life and maybe not good income prospects. So that's a challenging thing to think about. Be careful with those decisions. I had my mind set on going to university and it worked out for me, but it doesn't always work out. I'd say it's something to be highly critical about. Another thing that's difficult about our 20s is you're starting your career with no experience. I mean, for me, I was trying many things. I was trying science. I tried IT, didn't like that, didn't like science. Eventually got into software engineering, which I ended up enjoying more. And I'm lucky that it's a nice paying field. But it's all about trying new things and really, not being afraid of failure. And you got to know what you like, because that'll set you up for success later in life. So another challenging thing. Next is managing finances. So this includes just starting out, your first start to make money in your 20s. There's pressure to buy a house, which I have a lot of thoughts on buying a house that I can share in a different video. You got to pay your bills as well. And again, it's like a little bit harder for us to afford, but a lot of people, when they're young, they're broke, they're with debt, they have lower earnings. And I think a lot of people make the mistake of making their life a little bit too expensive too quickly. So my advice for this would go about learning things like investing. Don't go rushing to buy an expensive house or car that you don't need. Kind of get the water wet, see what it's like to, or I guess, kind of dip your foot in the water. Get your water wet, don't know what that is. Just don't buy stuff you don't need, don't overspend, and try to learn about investing and how to save. And I'll make another video about this. Next part that makes your 20s stressful is relationships. There's pressure to find someone and settle down, I think, a lot of times. And I think it's an important thing to do. You can use dating to get to know yourself and know what you want in a partner. And I think it can be a beautiful thing if you find the right person that can make you, very happy and with a strong purpose in your life. But dating nowadays, it's challenging. Social media has affected it. It's almost like a toxic field filled with landmines. I mean, it's one of the most important decisions for your life. And it's very stressful. It takes a lot of energy when you're dating, and it's a challenging thing. Normal to feel stressed about it. And here's one of the tougher ones: is you got to find a purpose in your 20s. I mean, we're all bouncing around, trying new things, and often it can feel like you're going from point A to point B without a purpose, or you're making money in this job, but maybe it's a little bit draining. And finding a purpose is a struggle. I mean, like, what the heck are we going to do with our lives? And we've got all this time and all these resources. So what do we do? That's a big thing. That's what's challenging. I'm still trying to find mine. Sometimes I have it in my job, sometimes I don't. And honestly, here with YouTube is one of the things I'm most excited about. So I'd say just try a bunch of things and try to find your purpose that way. I'd encourage all of us, when it comes to these stressful times, embrace the stress. Don't run from it. Lean into it. Your 20s are all about, it's the unknown. There's unlimited possibilities. Now you got to push your limits and really try to do something that's meaningful with your life. This could include finding a career that you're passionate about, finding the right person, finding the right groups of friends. I mean, there's unlimited things to do in your 20s. It's just, what do we do? How do we do it? So I hope you enjoyed this commentary. It's very unscripted this time. So I hope you enjoyed, and Tactical Nuke incoming. Plans out.